It's great to virtually see you. Welcome to this first of its kind event with Indy Flute Shop Pages Music, and I'm very happy to be here, and I'm so grateful that that Erin Nichols asked me to join you all for an evening of music and chatting. I figured I would do a French-themed program. Well, one reason is the flute has very much French roots, especially the modern flute as we know it today, this silver one. So there's a French flute school that we follow, and many wonderful composers came out of France, as we know. So I'll be playing some of those composers. This particular piece is by Georges Bizet, and it's from the opera Carmen. The opera Carmen actually takes place in Spain, but the composer is French, so a little inter-country travel. But since we're not traveling a whole lot these days, physically, out of the country, well, we can still travel with our music. And I do have a soft spot in my heart for France. Okay, my husband and I got engaged on the Eiffel Tower in Paris. So, so many beautiful things about France. And I wanted to show you, I was actually playing off of a program called Tom Play, which I first found out about through a YouTube ad, and then they started sending me ads on Facebook. You know how that happens. You get a little interested in something and all of a sudden you're getting all kinds of messages about it. But this was pretty cool, and I did download the free trial of this app, and the sheet music just comes up on my iPad, but you could use it on a computer, or even on your phone. There's an app. And what I did was actually I played the accompaniment on this little portable Bose speaker. And it's kind of cool with Tom Play because I've used other programs before as well for accompaniment, but those usually have a computerized, kind of a computer generated sound for the accompaniment instrument, but this one is actually a real person playing the piano that they've recorded. And the tempo is adjustable, so pretty cool stuff. So the other thing I wanted to do tonight was just show you, if you're a student and you're used to playing in band or orchestra and those things may not be happening just now, there are a few ways to play by yourself, but kind of not by yourself. So we'll be going over some of those methods of making music in your home. Funny enough, it used to be when people couldn't go out to concerts all the time, and before there were recordings, before there were records, people were in the habit of course, learning an instrument and playing transcriptions of big orchestral pieces at home. So a lot of those editions are still available. There are flute duets that are arrangement of Mozart operas, for example, and that was simply to bring music into the home back in the day. Those arrangements were written much later than when the operas themselves, but again, it was a way to bring in the music before we had all this technology. So, without further ado, I'm going to go on to my next piece, which is actually for solo flute, just flute all by itself. And it's by, of course, a French composer named Jacques Ibert. It's simply called Pièce, which is French for piece. So it's Pièce for solo flute by Jacques Ibert. So Jacques Ibert dedicated a couple of pieces to the legendary flute player Marcel Moïse. Many people, and especially flute players, will know Marcel Moïse not only by the great legacy of recordings that he left us, but also his teachings, which is written down. Much of it he wrote down in just stacks and stacks of books. Tone studies, technical studies, treatises, I mean, just a lot that he gave us to go on. He was very much kind of a guardian and proponent of the French flute school. So Moïse premiered the pièce for solo flute apparently at a party after a big performance of the concerto by Ibert for flute and orchestra. So it seems as though this pièce was something that Ibert just tossed off, a little tidbit as kind of a side dish to the flute concerto. The concerto is notoriously challenging, quite difficult to play, but interestingly, there's a scale that makes an appearance both in the solo pièce, the piece, and also in the concerto, and it's a chromatic scale in minor thirds. That very scale is in the first couple of pages of the daily exercises for flute book. So you may recognize it. It starts something like that one. So, and it kind of went on for a while and it landed at the top. So that scale in particular is something that's in a way notorious among flute players, where, you know, we work on the daily exercises, and then we see that scale again in the Ibert flute concerto and also extended in the pièce for solo flute. It almost seems as though Ibert was paying homage to Moïse's great technical prowess, and who knows, to his technical studies that he wrote down. I don't know, but it's almost like every time we get to that particular scale, there's a little wink, wink. Good thing you practiced your daily exercises. Anyway, so this next piece is going to look like there are two of me because I'm using a cappella. So very grateful for technology. It's actually amazing. The app a cappella can be used to virtually collaborate with other musicians through technology, or one can play a duet, trio, quartet by oneself. It's a lot of fun. If you want to try it, this was actually my first stab at using a cappella, and it was pretty user-friendly. The advice that I got was use it on any kind of Apple product like an iPhone or an iPad, and that it doesn't work very well on Android for some reason. I don't know. So my phone is an Android, so I went ahead and did the a cappella on my iPad. But it was a lot of fun, and it's really interesting to play chamber music with yourself. You'll notice that I kind of look over, and when I'm looking over, I'm looking at my recorded self to find the next entrance, since these entrances that Kirschlin wrote in this next duet are actually very free. And it's interesting, learned a lot about how I lead and follow when I have to do that with myself. So it was an incredibly educational tool, and I look forward to using it again. So the piece that I'm going to play on a cappella is the Sonata for Two Flutes by Charles Kirschlin, another French composer. This one's actually pretty under the radar. We haven't really heard a lot of pieces. There are some recordings of his works out there. Beautiful, beautiful writing. He was actually a classmate of Ravel. Gabriel Fauré was one of his teachers, and he also orchestrated some pieces for Fauré. We may know Fauré from the Fauré Fantasy, flute and piano. A lot of us have played that or will play it. um, and interestingly, a student of Kirchlin was Francis Poulenc. So he lived much of his life in France. He identified himself as Alsatian from Alsace. His mother was from Alsace. But he did spend quite a bit of time in Paris. And he was a bit of an outsider. He was politically a bit radical. So it seems like a lot of times he was kind of off doing things by himself and was hoping that he would be a little bit more accepted. And I think he's coming a little bit more to the forefront now. But yeah, beautiful writing, some very free, some slightly dissonant. Some of it is very structured in the way it's written, but also made to sound as though it's very improvisational. So, so fantastic writing. And yeah, it did take a while for me to line up that a cappella recording. As you can see, I actually had my window open, my shutter open when I was recording the first track. And by the time I got the second track synced, you can see it got a lot darker outside if you look out the window. So it took a while, but boy, was it fun. And I really look forward to exploring music by Charles Kirchlin a little bit more, and also exploring the a cappella app. So enjoy this sonata for two flutes. Flute 1, Karen Moratz. Flute 2, Karen Moratz. The next piece I'd like to play for you this evening is called Danse de la Chèvre. It's composed by Arthur Honegger, who was of Swiss nationality, but was actually born in France and spent much of his life in Paris, France. So he was very well known for kind of painting musical pictures. So one of his more famous pieces is called Pacific 231 or Pacific 231 for full orchestra, and it sounds exactly like a train starting. It's pretty cool. It's kind of proof that he was ahead of his time. He was one of a group of composers in France known as Les Six, or the Six. And among those composers was also Francis Poulenc. We may know him well from, flutists. He wrote a beautiful sonata for flute, but for also other woodwinds. Anyway, so Francis Poulenc was one of Les Six, as was Honegger. Poulenc actually studied with Charles Koechlin, who composed that duet that I played with the a cappella. I didn't see any evidence that Honegger and Koechlin actually ever met, but who knows? Maybe they did. And coincidentally also, Arthur Honegger's daughter, Blanche Honegger, was a violinist, lovely lady, and I actually got to meet her once. And she became Blanche Honegger Moïse when she married Louis Moïse, who was the son of Marcel Moïse, for whom the Ibert solo pièce was composed. They find it marvelous how it's just all connected. Anyway, Danse de la Chèvre translates to Dance of the Goat, and it definitely paints a picture. I see a goat at the beginning on some beautiful mountain range in France, maybe the Vosges or the Pyrenees. Anyway, he's taking a nap, I think, and then he becomes a little bit more active, wakes up, dances around. It's all very playful. But there is a love song tucked into the middle of it. At least that's how I hear it. And then he sort of gets tired out. He gets really excited, then gets tired out. And then at the end, he just kind of goes back to sleep, lounging in the mountains. Maybe it's nighttime. Maybe the sky is so clear he can see the stars. Anyway, maybe you'll paint your own picture of the story of the goat. Anyway, here it is, Danse de la Chèvre by Arthur Honegger. For my final selection this evening, I would like to go back to the Tom Play accompaniment app, which has been so fun to explore. And funny enough, it's not just classical music on there. There's all kinds of pop music, new and a little bit older. And so I found something of the French variety, and yes, Edith Piaf, La Vie en Rose. Edith Piaf wrote the lyrics for this song, and Louis Guy, this guy, wrote the melody. And gosh, so it turns out that Edith Piaf and Arthur Honegger and Jacques Ibert were actually hanging out in Paris around the same time. How about that? So I guess it's possible that Monsieur Ibert maybe went to a cabaret and heard her sing, or maybe she went to a concert and heard one of Arthur Honegger's pieces. Who knows? But it's really kind of cool. We can let our imagination run wild on that as we kind of wrap up our virtual international voyage here. And La Vie en Rose means, basically it's like looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. So the lyrics are something like, when she's in love and she's in the arms of her beloved, then she's happy and she sees the world through these rose-colored glasses. So yeah, it's amazing what love can do to your outlook, right? So here's to L'amour and Edith Piaf.
Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche, voir le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. Et pour moi, pour lui dans la vie, il me l'a dit, l'a juré pour la vie. Dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat. Des nuits d'amour à plus finir, un grand bonheur qui prend sa place, des ennuis, des chagrins s'effacent, heureux, heureux à en mourir. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il
with Edith Piaf. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. Me and Edith and Monsieur Honegger and Monsieur Ibert, Monsieur Bizet, Indy Flute Shop, Page's Music. Aaron Nichols, thank you so much. Au revoir. Bye bye.